I no longer embrace any title. Titles are intellectual bondages that enslave the mind and spirit and demand a certain level of social existence in order to be identified and accepted by society's divisiveness. Those imposed titles only cause division in the human family and thus causing conflict, disorder, pain and even death. I am a human being, nothing more or less. And it is a state of being in which opposes all imposed political and religious objectives upon my mind and soul. Once we understand of how these titles have robbed us of knowing who we truly are as human beings, then we will be truly free and see the entire reality of humanity itself in its oneness. These titles that we were given are created for the sake of political injustice towards a made-manufactured community of human beings. You are given the title cultivated by this world system even before you are pulled from the womb of your mother. We are given a title and then a number, and thus, a community is made to be established. After this community is established by that government system, then that system decides of how they will treat those particular people and at the same time impose policies upon them in which goes in opposition of common humanity. There is seen, by the government, a necessity for it to be some imbalance, for the sake of a group of people who assert a balance of mind and spirit, but are truly imbalanced. And the shape of this world system reveals that. In this effect, those people who are victimized are made to feel offended, helpless, hopeless, and thus will begin in time to hate themselves, either through the frustration of helplessness or in trying to duplicate the physical likeness and characteristics of the oppressor in order to be accepted in an act of unacceptable of themselves. The root of the anger that stems from the reality of slavery is that there was a people who were human beings who were treated as though they were not, because of their own ancestors and those businessmen and women who sought to build a corporation that is this day called America, Great Britain, Iraq and other strongly activated and moving systems of war and therefore, bloodshed. Their humanity was denied them because what it would take to build what is seen and felt this day was to be inhumane in its state of being. Just look outside of your window and on the television. They were singled out because of the color of their skin, and in this act was made to be seen and felt by the altered, deranged perception of humanity as not human. So, the acts that was inflicted against them was as though they were not human men and women, but cattle, as it is seen this day, now upon every so-called race as more, who feel as though they are outside of this realm, will realize soon the moment that they realize that the government has tricked them into believing that they are protected from ever having to feel what others have been made to feel. So, what is the real problem? It's a problem of humanity. I don't understand of why some or more people cannot understand that instead of being grasped into the same mentality in which caused our ancestors so much pain upon every side of the human existence. Because despite what so-called race, culture or tradition one belongs to without the consent of choosing a race to belong to, we all suffer the same sorrows despite the effects of the written past being understood into an emotional complex, as meant to be, keeping one involved into that state of mind in which keeps the world angry and therefore divided into fragmented groups serving only the aims of the government system who have ruled for centuries by way of ruling the minds of the people who are considered the governed. It is time to move forwards and into the now in order to be healed from this, instead of holding on to a piece of hot coal that some monster placed into our hand, even by way of a history book or documentary, or a speaker claiming to set the minds of a people free from hate and disorder, but is only reminding them of why they should continue to hate, cluttering their minds with anger and resentment, and those people never understanding of why they cannot get ahead inside for the sake of their lives evolving outside. You are not allowed to heal. One can never evolve in this life if they are constantly, internally angry, resentful, agitated, irritated and holding on to the past and its pains. We only hurt and cripple our own incentive to produce, even for one another. If a minister, speaker, has not given you guidance, clarity, and has told you what to do about your present condition in order to rise above it, then you did nothing but feed his ego along with his bank account. get angry, but that's just the truth. So, when we say black power or even white power, what are we really saying? We give power of something empty and void that has no true meaning, and therefore, it's only death. It's time to wake up and stop conforming to nonsense that came from the mind of a senseless racist because he decided to stop being a human being. After the fist is raised and pumped up in the air, the hill to salute is raised and then brought down. What is the vitality or even substance of that movement of expression? What does it really mean? There is no power within any label given to a people for to mock or to dehumanize them or one to dehumanize the other. It destroys the minds of everyone, and it is nothing but a constant circle of self-destruction. And what about the children coming into this mess we have been tricked into making? What about them? Intelligence is movement. Unintelligent is death. If something is moving, it is because it has life. But if it is not moving, then it is dead. Growth is pain and healing into enlightenment. Enlightenment brings about healing and therefore clarity. There is only the present. If the present is not betrayed with the effects of the past, then that is true growth. But if the past has your mind enslaved into an emotional complex, then it has betrayed you the present and have set you up for failure. A racist said one day, "Nigger, when I am done with you, you are gonna be preaching." And now, some just cannot stop preaching and talking about what this man has done, and yet claiming to be a free man. In this activity, that racist, dead or alive, has won, and even though he is dead, he has created a death inside of you while you are living, but no longer truly producing. Your motivation has been crippled into a state of paralysis. No growth. This is the fact. Here is a racist created by the government who says that he is white because he has colored himself out of humanity, who comes to you and say to you that you are black. You embrace his perception of the human being and you become one with his state of mentality and all that comes along with it, including the hate and humiliation meant by his implication. You allow a man who has colored himself out of humanity to color you into his so-called humanity. Now you are a colored person and you shamefully accept it without investigating its root. Well, did the Creator, who is spirit, sacred and undefined, color you? Does the Creator define you, or does man? Who and what are we truly without the political and religious monotony? To die of all of that leaves you with what the Creator made of you. It's okay to let go of the hot stone and to embrace the warmth of real truth for the sake of identity. The ancestors never carried what we are carrying this day inside. Remember that. They may have been made victims of a tyrannical system coming into rule, but they survived it. And look at us this day. We are killing one another in the streets, disrespecting our women and men in the family power structure. We are killing one another over a piece of land that does not belong to a sect. It's been long overdue to wake up humanity. Please understand, when we look outside of ourselves, we see only the illusion that a monster designed for us. We see only what has been produced for the sake of conforming to a structured system of governed mental and spiritual control. We see the lie. Who are you truly? Let go of what has been given and allow who and what you are to be revealed to you. David Anthony Breboy.